Let me hear you say I'm ready.
Hi everybody, this is foXnoMad, and today I want to help you travel smarter. So you may have seen my first impressions video from Pakistan, which I shot literally on the first full day that I had in Islamabad. I had just arrived and I wanted to get some food, and I filmed a quick video giving you my first impressions. And since that time, I've been all over Pakistan for several weeks, from Islamabad in the north down to Karachi in the south. I've had a lot more time to really get a better idea of what it's like to travel in the country, so I thought I would share a sort of mini travel review of Pakistan and my second thoughts. So first of all, talking about general travel in Pakistan, as far as accommodation goes, you've got a lot of variety in the country, a lot of different places to stay all across the major cities. It's pretty easy to find accommodation using one of those booking sites or using just local contacts, trying to find a good hotel. You've got a whole variety of tiers of hotels in Pakistan. You've got the luxury 5-star hotels, you've got the ultra budget backpacking hotels. But what's nice about Pakistan is you do have this middle tier of hotels which aren't super budget, but they're not super too expensive, they're not super luxury. So you get this nice middle tier of hotels, which makes it really easy to find good solid accommodation that's not too fancy, that's not too far outside of town, but that's not so budget that it might be uncomfortable for some people. You can see my review of the $35 hotel in Pakistan in Islamabad, which I'll link to somewhere up there. You can see what a $35 hotel in Pakistan looks like from my experience in Islamabad, but that's a pretty decent hotel. You get good amount of accommodation, a solid room, clean, large bed, breakfast in the morning. So you've got a lot of advantages staying all throughout Pakistan. As far as the food goes in Pakistan, it's quite varied, but it's a meat-heavy diet. So if you love barbecue, it's got to be one of the best countries in the world to go for barbecue. You got barbecue chicken, you got barbecue lamb, beef, whatever you want, they have it. And they've also got a good variety of different local cuisine, because Pakistan is a very large country which takes up a very diverse geographical area, so the food varies quite a bit. But I will say this, Pakistani food is generally very flavorful, very spicy, so it's a different, unique cuisine which you can get all over the country. And as far as the hygienic levels are concerned, there's a pretty high level of hygiene in general in the country, which I noticed at a lot of restaurants and places that you might want to eat. Worrying about getting sick is not too much of an issue. If you're eating at some of the larger restaurants or the more popular places in the cities, then you're probably going to be fine. Street food is always a little bit iffy wherever you happen to travel, so I'd take that with a little bit of caution. But as far as food goes, you're going to find a lot of different places to eat. There's a whole bunch of different hipster burger places all over Islamabad. You've got local cuisine. So you've got this really major variety of cuisine in all the cities. So you've got a lot of good places to eat and places that are probably not going to make you sick either. Getting around in Pakistan is also very easy. So internal flights are very inexpensive and it's easy to fly around. So if you want to get, let's say, from Islamabad to Karachi, distances are going to be too far to take by bus or by train. So you're going to want to fly. But if you're going for a shorter distance, then you want to check out the Pakistani buses. They've got a couple of different tiers. Each company calls it different things, but there's basically like a luxury tier, which is not very expensive at all compared to a regular class ticket that you might want to book. And if you look at this bus, I mean, this is the dopest bus that I have ever been on my life. These seats are massive. They're so comfortable. It's like sitting in a giant couch at home. You've got this huge screen in front of you, which has a lot of new release movies from Pakistan and from America as well. So you've got Marvel movies, you've got whatever the local Pakistani latest hits are. You've got that, you've got music, you've got Google Maps so you can see where you are. You've also got free Wi-Fi on the bus. You've got all of this legroom. So traveling by bus in Pakistan is just amazing, and it has completely spoiled buses for me all over the world. If the bus is not a Pakistani bus, then it's just going to be lower than this class of bus. Getting around the country is pretty easy and it's pretty inexpensive, and you have a lot of different options depending on where you want to go in the country. Now, a couple of other things inside of Pakistan. Obviously, English is very widely spoken, so if you're listening to this video, I'm guessing you speak English. And if you speak English, Pakistan is a country that's very easy to get around. You don't need to know Urdu or any other language. You can get by fairly well with just English. They've also got a fairly well-developed travel infrastructure. So you've got Uber in the country, which makes getting around so much easier than dealing with taxis. They've also got another app called Careem, which locals use more often than Uber. You tend to get better prices and more drivers from Careem, but you've got to use a local number or some sort of phone number to register that app, which can be a little bit tricky if you've got a foreign phone in Pakistan. And I know the first video that I made about this, about registering a phone in Pakistan, it comes with some sort of tax, but not everybody is subject to the tax. It kind of depends on the phone you have. So the more expensive and the newer phone you have, the more tax you're going to pay. And so that's something to know, but you can just use an eSIM to get around all of those restrictions and just have data on your phone and then set up Kareem before you get to Pakistan. It's going to be a lot easier for you if you want to get around with rickshaw, car, taxi, or motorbike. Most of the hotels you're going to want to stay at are all on the major booking engines. So as far as travel infrastructure goes, Pakistan is really well set up to receive a lot of tourists. The roads are pretty good between major cities, so getting around isn't too uncomfortable. So if you're going by road, the roads are pretty well paved, so it's not an uncomfortable journey by any means. And as far as things to see in Pakistan, you've got a lot of historical sites. You've got a ton of nature. So if you go up north, you've got the mountains. If you go south, you've got the beaches. So you've got this very diverse country. And if you look at the map, you see how Pakistan is sort of this very long and wide country, but it's more long than it is wide. And it takes up a whole bunch of different geographical zones, which means you've got mountains, you've got cold weather, you've got snow, skiing in the wintertime. You can go to Karachi in the south and you've got the beaches where it's very warm and hot. So you have all these different climates, and with that comes different cultures. You've got different types of people, different local languages, different cuisines. So there is a lot to see within Pakistan. It's one of the least visited countries in the world, or at least it has been, but tourism is starting to pick up. But you're probably wondering, or you probably already know why I'm even making this video. So you're probably wondering whether or not it's safe to travel in Pakistan. So anecdotally, as far as experiences go, as I was walking around most of the cities, nobody approached me, nobody came up with me. Obviously, I look maybe a little bit more that I blend in than you might, but nobody came up to me knowing that I was a foreigner with my camera, the way that I'm dressed, with all my equipment. Nobody really bothered me. In fact, most of my experiences with locals were very nice. A couple of people bought me tea. If you watched my last video, I've had people buy me meals. People just come up to me and talk to me. Having the camera really made that sort of a nice experience, made people curious and wanted to tell me things. And the message that I got overwhelmingly from locals in Pakistan was to tell people that it is safe to travel there, that everybody's not a terrorist, and that people should come and visit. And since 2014, the amount of tourists that have come to Pakistan has increased. There was an attack at an army school in 2014, and since that time, the government really cracked down on terrorism. There's a great Vice article, which I'll link to below. But since that attack, there's been a real major crackdown on terrorism. The crime rate has dropped dramatically. So the amount of people that were killed by terrorists 2018 was about 300. Obviously, any number of people killed by terrorism is too many people killed by terrorism, but still compared to many other countries as a ratio of the number of people affected, it's very, very, very low. So if you look at the statistics from 2018 to now, about 500,000 people visited Pakistan a couple of years ago, and that number is now 1.9 million. There was this Reddit post which popped up and which later got deleted, but I've seen a couple of other posts, especially regarding some of the things that this female travel blogger has said about traveling solo in Pakistan as a female. I'm going to leave a link to her video as well down below so you can check that out, because I obviously can't talk too much about solo female travel from a first-hand experience. But as far as my experience traveling in the country, I didn't really feel unsafe. The major cities are, well, like major cities everywhere, just sort of big, bustling, you kind of blend in. People were very hospitable and very nice, and I didn't have any kind of trouble or any incidents where I felt unsafe. I'd say the only thing that makes you feel just a little bit awkward is there are just no other tourists. So a lot of times you are the only tourist, and you're the first tourist that a lot of the shop owners or the people there have actually seen. So if you get a little bit outside the city, that can make you wonder, like, why aren't more people coming here? But I think we know the answer to that, and that's safety and safety concerns and the image of Pakistan outside of Pakistan. Based on those numbers and my experiences, I can say Pakistan is not a travel experience for everybody. It's really at the cusp of becoming a sort of new travel destination, one that was probably not very safe a couple of years ago, that's really improving. So it hasn't had time to recover its reputation, and we don't know the long-term effects of the things that have been done to reduce terrorism and to make the country safer. But right now it's sort of at that cusp, and a lot of countries have been there, and that's when I tend to visit those countries. That's when they're the most interesting. It's sort of when they've cleaned up a lot of the issues that were affecting tourism, and now the sort of first adopters of travel are arriving, and that's usually travel bloggers and travel vloggers, backpackers, and more adventurous travelers. Those are the groups of people that tend to arrive first to a country when it's at this cusp. And I'd say Pakistan is definitely at the cusp right now of potentially becoming one of the world's most interesting travel destinations in a couple of years. Right now, it's not for everybody. If you're a novice traveler, if you're a nervous traveler, if you don't have a lot of travel experience in a lot of different places around the world, Pakistan might be very intimidating for you. And that's not just from safety concerns or just because it's Pakistan, but it's in a part of the world that can be a little bit overwhelming for a lot of new travelers. So it's probably not the place that you want to pick up and go to if you don't have a lot of travel experience. But if you're a backpacker, travel blogger, vlogger, or somebody who has a lot of travel experience, you don't mind getting off the beaten path, then Pakistan is a country that I recommend that you take a close look at. So there you have it. That's sort of a quick review of traveling in Pakistan and my second thoughts. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments below. And while you're down there, hit the like and subscribe buttons. I'll have new videos for you every week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. More places which are, if you're staying with the more popular restaurants, or if you're staying at some bye.